Hey guys, we are going to be in the next 10 seconds talking about a very prominent DTC brand. We're going to talk about diapers today. It's from Honest Company. And Lorenzo actually had some really good ideas for this episode. He's going to start off by talking about his ideas first. And one of the idea that I liked the best was his idea to reduce the cognitive load. People have so many choices. We think giving more choices to the consumer is a good idea, and Lorenzo is going to show you how you can give choices without overwhelming them. And then in my part, I'm actually going to talk about my copywriting process. It's a totally different format. Hopefully you guys like it. Stick around and we'll talk to you, and we look forward to your comments. Ciao.
Hello, guys. What's going on? So we have a new episode today, and the company that we picked is Honest, which people that probably are familiar with the brand. The co-founder is Jessica Alba, super famous actress. She's done a lot of super famous movies. So I'm gonna walk you through the product page really quick. So on the top here we have a few images about the product with lifestyle, kind of focus with like the father and the baby. Then just below a quick description, the price, the installation that they're becoming so common across e-commerce brands. And then we have two product selectors. One is for the size, and then the second one is for the print. So they have this limited edition option and also classics. Now, scrolling down, we have the quantity. It's interesting that they have the call to action add to bag, which is sticky by default. So it doesn't really, it's not here. It's just sticky on mobile. And then they have this upgrade to kit, which is kind of like a upsell sort of offer. They have the customers also love right below it. And then finally, they have these three tabs about product details, how to use the product, and the ingredients used to make the diapers. And then finally, this video, it's actually a pretty good video about the mom and the baby, the FAQ section, and then finally the reviews. Anything else I should add, Rishi?
No, I think one thing I'll just mention in the review section I thought was very nice is that, again, I don't know if this is like at the template level of the tool, but I like the fact that it kind of starts off with search for topics and reviews, and it kind of, that's really good.
100%, yeah. Which is something that they should definitely track, like what kind of words people are searching for in the search bar.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about my first idea, and the first conversion idea, I named it "How to Reduce Cognitive Overload When There Are Too Many Options." So let's start with the insight. As also as always for the people that are not familiar with our show, my approach is analyzing public data that the Honest has, which is basically customer reviews, and then based on that, come up with a bunch of insights. Now, I went ahead and analyzed the reviews and bucketed in basically different themes. One of the themes that I focused on is benefits. So, what benefits are people getting from the product? And the most popular benefit is people love the design and the patterns of diapers. And so that's very interesting, right? So the problem is that, if we're looking at the product selector, where the user has to select all the different prints, there are 39 different prints. So that's a lot of choices that people have to make whenever they need to choose the right one, right? So I have few actually solutions with this wireframes as well that I came up with. So the first one, I called it a non-inferiority test. And what that means is that instead of a test focused on increasing conversion, it's a test which goal is to make sure that conversions don't tank. And here's what I would do. I would pick the top 5 bestsellers for the classic prints. And remove the other 30, 32, right? So only display the first 5. And I want to see with this test, I want to see how 2 fundamental metrics change: add to cart and conversion rate. If these metrics don't change, I would totally remove those prints, because there's a lot of decision that the user has to make on this page.
Yeah, let me add a couple of things here actually. So one is that there is a really interesting study in the book, The Paradox of Choice, where the author talks about conversion rates go down for every 10 options that are added. So from that perspective, if you think from that lens, you can see what impact this could have. Well, I do have a question for you though. I don't want to go, and it's a very quick question. If it's not the right time to discuss it, we can discuss it later on. But you talked about this add to cart goal and the conversion rate, the transaction goal. What would happen though if the add to cart didn't go down, but conversion rates went down? Like, would you interpret it differently?
Yeah, so I would do 2 things. First of all, I would not implement the variation, because the main metric is transaction conversion rate. And what I would do is I would analyze what happened after the user has added the product to the cart. So I would analyze the test between control and variation to see what happened in the funnel that made conversions lose, basically, right?
Wonderful.
That's how I would do it. So I have, a couple of more iterations here. The second iteration I would do is I would actually display the top 5 bestsellers for Classic, and then I would use a show 5 more prints button. And this is the way I basically, actually, sorry, this one. This is the way I wireframed it. So you only show the 5, and then there's a button that says show 5 more prints. And then when people click on it, you show 5 more prints. And then again, there's another button.
Yeah, so you're kind of giving them small chunks where they can look at the print and decide, okay, do I like this or I not like this? Love it.
Exactly. The third iteration here is I would want to reorder the prints based on the bestsellers, right? So I want to show first the most bought prints. The prints that have the highest cart to detail rate, which is basically, it's actually a pretty good metric in the product analytics report in Google Analytics. And
enhanced e-commerce, right?
Yeah, correct. Thank you. Yeah, enhanced e-commerce. And that metric is the number of add to cart divided by the product page views. And then the third metric would be the buy to detail ratio, which is also a metric included in that report. Which is basically purchases divided by product page views. So what I'm trying to do here is I want to show people the prints that people buy the most, basically, right?
Yep.
And then I actually have a fourth iteration here, which I call it with a social proof angle. And what I'm doing here, I'm basically, adding this badge top. I wanted to use bestseller, but I was afraid that it was gonna. I couldn't really find a way to do it because I was afraid it was gonna cover the whole thing. So I just used top. And what I'm doing here is I am trying to shift the behavior of the user to just anchor to one of these, which again are based on the data are the best-selling prints. And then still have that button show 5 more. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying not to have people click on this button, because I am afraid that clicking on that button, people will have to have more decisions to make and more options, right? So I'm anchoring people to show the best sellers and the best product.
Yeah, I really like it. One question I have for you is that, do you remember, don't have to show it to me, but do you remember if when you clicked on, like, for example, the classic, the first one, if it shows a larger size image or something, or that's it? It does. No. Yeah. So here's one idea to further complicate the iterations, is I would like it where kind of like we don't show any of the colors and we kind of have a call to action that says, see all the colors. When you click on it, we actually show a full screen
Nice.
image per
Nice.
per thing. So it's, just you're using the mobile real estate better. So
Yeah.
it's, it's just because, anyway, I'll stop talking.
Yeah. Actually, I actually really love that idea. So you fully see visually what that pattern looks like, what that print
Yeah.
looks like.
Awesome.
Cool. So that's the first one. The second one, I called it found a product attribute people love. So once you find a product attribute that you love, people love, you need to double down on it.
It's such a wonderful cheat code. I mean, I haven't even seen your idea, but I know what you're going to say, and it's so simple. It's like, instead of like, here are the 15 features for our product, you identify the features that actually make people pull out their credit card and buy it, and you spend your time talking about those 3 features, right?
Correct. Yes. The way I always explain it is, if you own a Ferrari, you don't keep it in your garage. You drive it wherever people see you because you want to show it off. Now, going back to my reviews mining, the second benefit that people mentioned about the product is that these diapers don't lick, right? So they keep both number 1 and number 2 within the diaper. So my point here is that I want to double down on this product attribute, because the main problem is that there's not enough focus on this attribute, and users are telling us this attribute is important. So my solution is to turn a product attribute, and also potentially objection that the user is having. Well, I wonder if this diaper will leak, number 1 and number 2. So I want to turn that into a selling point. So my very simple solution is, and again, here I'm stealing one of the techniques I learned from Rishi, which is, if you want to make sure that people will not miss something, display right next to the price, because people always look at the price.
I want to say something here, Lorenzo. This is an important point. I don't know if you noticed this, but I had a slight altercation with someone on LinkedIn some time back. He's obviously, very, very well-meaning, and he's a UI UX designer. And that this is an idea I use over and over again. So I was showing an example where, to the right of the price point, we showed something like new here or something similar to your idea. And his criticism was that, this is a dark pattern. The consumer expects something different at this location. And I think maybe people, designers, have a different view on this, but I do not think this is a dark pattern. I'm not fooling the consumer. I'm just using the attention of the user to drive home an attribute of the product that I think, and I don't think as marketers we should be calling this a dark pattern.
No, like, that people are looking at the price. So what you're doing is you're putting an element that you want to display, because you're trying to do something, shift behavior in this case, next to it, because I know people won't miss it.
Yeah, and I want to add something here as well. I don't think this was intentional, but I think this is actually a very important thing. So when it comes to how our brain processes images, we tend to, so obviously the brain is, our eyes are exposed to so much information. When we see a pattern, we actually tend to start discarding patterns, because, we're trying to conserve processing power. So like in the control, the price is put in the center, which is like a very beautiful pattern, nicely centered pattern. In Lorenzo's example, and he's done it because he's included the call to action, but it's also a consequence. He's moved the price to the left, which is actually a pattern break, which actually makes the price actually stand out more, which makes the call to action stand out more. So these small little things, just playing with the psychology can be quite beneficial.
Yeah, and also like the copy that I've used for that call to action, I use honest, no leak guarantee, right?
I love it.
So now all of a sudden you say, leak is something that is important to me. Yeah. So of course I want to understand more about the no leak guarantee, awesome. Right? So when people click on that call to action, there's a modal that appears, right? And I wrote this copy like super quick, but please don't judge this copy. The point of this copy is to explain what the leak guarantee means, right? So what I wrote is, we have invested over $13 million, and I completely made that up, into product development to make the most durable and sturdy diapers in the market. But if for some reason you're not happy with your purchase within the next 30 days, send us the diapers back, only the unused ones. And I put a little bit of kind of like a humor there, and we'll get you the full money back. And then I put a link about additional details about their guarantee, in case people want to understand, well, how does the refund work? How long does it take to get the money back? How do I return the product, right? And there's a couple of actually successful metrics that I would want to use for evaluating these tests. The first one is transaction conversion rate, right? We're trying to shift behavior and increase conversion rate. But I also want to make sure that I'm not changing the return rate, right? I want to make sure that the whatever return rate of this product is, I want to make sure that it stays flat, because I want to make sure that I'm not wasting money here. Or it might be a little bit higher, but the increase of conversion rate has to be higher than how many products get returned and so on.
I love it. Very good. Yeah, that's really cool.
I also have a bonus idea, but obviously I'm not gonna show it to you guys on this episode.
Even I haven't been shown the bonus idea. That's only for once I sign up to the email. So please join me and sign up.
Yeah, so please, if you want to learn more about the third bonus idea, plus get the reviews mining document, plus this document, Rishi's document, sign up to the newsletter in the notes below.
Awesome.
Cool. Time for your stuff, which I am super excited about, because today we're gonna do something different, Rishi, right?
That's right. Something different, and this is going to be actually a format that I plan to use this on a regular basis, because I think I think this is where the value is going to be. So what I'm going to show you is, I've just taken a screenshot. So in Lorenzo's concept, he looked a lot above the fold, and I've really focused on this part, which is really low on the page, but I'm not going to have a discussion about where the content needs to be. That's a totally different topic. Today, I want to actually talk about the content itself. The details essentially is your sales pitch, right? This is where we are telling a parent that you are buying a different brand of diapers. Please fire that brand and buy our brand. That's really what we are trying to tell them. And in order to do that, we have to really kind of build a case. Now in the control, I wanted to show the control first. It says our best diapering experience ever. There's some copy over here. Then they talk about their eco angle, which I think is very important to them. And it's actually one of their differentiating factors. So it's good for me to know. One of the things that I'm trying to do as a copywriter is I'm actually trying to understand what the brand is trying to emphasize. Because if I were to rewrite the copy where I didn't talk about the eco-friendly nature at all, or maybe if I de-emphasized it, the client would say, dude, it's really important for us. I'm not going to fight the client on this. I mean, you need to understand what's important to the client. So just by noticing where they mention what, right? So the fact that they're talking about safe plant-based materials, they're talking about 7,000 trees right in the opening of the sales pitch, it is 100% giveaway that this is important to the client. Now, this does not mean it's important to the buyer. But remember, you can't you have to satisfy two masters, right? So you want to make sure that the client agrees with it. Will these fit my baby? And then, obviously, and then they talk about sustainable, but how, again, they're further dramatizing the sustainability of their product, which again tells me it's a very important detail for them. And then they talk about quantity per pack and stuff like that. So I wanted to actually show you guys how I would construct the sales pitch. And I have 3 versions of the sales pitch. Now, if this was an actual project, I would actually have 10 versions of the sales pitch. And when I say versions, I'm not talking about test variations. I'm talking about versions that I'm working on internally before I submit it to the client. So I would actually go through 10 internal reviews. Every day I would do one, make some tweaks to it, and then get the final version. That will be sent to the client. And that's what we would A/B test. I didn't have, and it was too complicated to actually show all 10 versions to you guys. So I wanted to just show 3 versions so you can see, so this is how he starts. This is the changes that he makes on day 2. These are the changes he makes on day 3. So let's
before you start, I want to point attention to something. I haven't seen what Rishi's about to show us, but what I think he's about to show us is literally behind the scene of how he comes up with copy. And this is probably like one of the most like important thing for somebody that is learning about copywriting, to see how a super professional copywriter that has been doing this job for 13 years is thinking about creating copy. Yeah. So please pay attention to this.
Okay, yeah, this could be suck, but let me just show you the process. So the first thing I realized was when I went through their description, they're talking about the description. So they talk about size for newborns, size for 1 year. So what they've done is they've broken their product into different weight categories, which corresponds to baby's age. And so they're trying to kind of talk about these features and benefits. Like, for example, this feature is only for newborns. Then they have benefits that apply to baby. And I thought to myself, look, parents typically will have only one size baby, right? So if I have a newborn baby, I don't care about everything else, and I don't need to see all this copy. So I simply kind of said, our diapers are personalized to the weight of the baby, pick one. And I'm actually just showing a drop down. I'm saying, what's your pick? And I'm actually not showing any copy below that. So essentially it's like this is the only content available. So the user has to interact with it. And I'm doing this because, well, see, I learned this from Lorenzo. See, I used to previously only use this for personalization, but Lorenzo's idea is that you you're picking up really interesting information about you. Obviously, they already know what transactions they have for different size babies because they can look at that, but they actually don't know the visitors, the profile of the visitors that are coming. So for example, if we find that people that are coming for 12 to 18 pound babies actually have a very low conversion rate, then maybe there's an interesting insight there. Okay, so that's then what? So one of the there are certain techniques that I use for copywriting. Actually, Lorenzo used this as well in his when he talked about we've spent $13 million on research and development. What you're trying to show is you're actually trying to show a bargain for the buyer, right? If I'm buying something for $12 that you spent $13 million to develop, I feel like I'm getting a piece of a $13 million asset, right? And it's a great price anchoring technique. It's very effective. It's not lying. You're spending millions on research. So I use that same technique, but I use it in a slightly different way. So one of the things that I like to do is if I was not a copywriter, I would have been writing books like, fantasy books. And so in fantasy novels, what you do is you create an enemy. And you create this great injustice that is happening to the world. So the way I did that was I said the diaper market has been dominated, again, using very aggressive terms, by a few players for the last 40 years. So I'm basically saying, this has been going on for this injustice has been going on for a long time. When we started on this journey, we were aware we may not make it. So again, adding that hero's journey, tension, but what's happening to our planet is unacceptable. So we had to try hard. Now, again, this is my first draft, and you'll see in my second and third drafts, I've refined this further. Then, because I know it's a newborn baby we're talking about, I'm actually playing on the heartstrings of a newborn baby. So I say buying anything for a newborn baby is hard, because I'm trying to reflect back to the buyer about the tensions, the anxieties that they feel about taking care of a newborn. We want the best for our new family members. Again, just kind of, so it seems safe to go with a brand that's most visible. But look at you are here, you aren't influenced. So I'm kind of congratulating them from doing what most parents don't do, which is they go with the most prominent brand. So I'm trying to praise them for that. There was a time when cloth diapers were all we used. So here I'm actually trying to do, this is a contrasting technique. I'm trying to show how diapers were, because I'm going to make a point about how advanced our diaper is. The advancement of technology is crazy. In just the last 3 years, our science team, again, very intentional use the word science team. We're not marketers, we're actually scientists. In the last 3 years, our science team has been given access to technology, like we've broken into CIA headquarters. Has been given to access to technology that didn't exist 4 years ago. now I'm showing an example. For example, using sustainably harvested tree fluff wasn't an economically viable option. It is now. What I've done here is that video that Lorenzo talked about that he really liked. In that video, actually, they had these wonderful graphics talking about various features. I just took screen grabs of those features. Instead of making the user watch the video, I'm just going to include them here because the screenshots actually did a pretty good job. So I'm kind of using this to break up the copy, but also reinforce the point I was making earlier. Let me kind of rush through this now. So then I said, we don't just make a diaper and size it differently for babies who are newborns versus those who are 6 months old. No, we actually develop our newborn diapers specifically for newborns. Again, I know that these people are buying for newborns. That's why you'll see our newborn diaper has a belly button cutout designed to stay out of the way of your babe's healing umbilical cord. So I'm using copy here that's hyper personalized for that selection. And not just that, you'll get these following features. So that was my first draft. Let me quickly jump to my second draft. So the second draft has the same thing, same mechanism over here. And then I've actually started refining this copy over here. So it says a few large players have dominated the diaper market for 40 years. When a brand, you'll notice here it's a little different. So here I'm framing it differently. I'm saying when a brand corners a market, they don't want to give up that position. So I'm kind of like just playing up on this idea, but in a different way. We get it. This is very important to say that. We get it because you cannot make the enemy always wrong. You have to acknowledge the enemy. These are very classic kind of, theater writing techniques. You have to acknowledge the enemy. But then I said over here, but it isn't a good enough. So I'm saying, yes, we understand that the Procter and Gambles of the world don't want to give up their lead. But we're also saying that, but that should not stop us from trying to make a better product. Now, notice the choice over here, not to try and make a better product. I didn't say we've succeeded. I'm actually trying to say that we started with this ethos of we don't know if we'll succeed, but we want to try. And no consumer is going to say you shouldn't be. They might have a different opinion about. If I were to say, for example, that we've created the best product in the world, the consumer is going to be skeptical about that because, I mean, who are you to say you've made the best product in the world? Maybe you're making it up. But I'm framing this in terms of something that we can all relate to. I'm basically saying we should be given an opportunity to try. That's all I'm saying. And that's, these are like very important subtle differences. So again, you'll notice that, okay, so when we started this journey, we were aware we may not be alive, we may not make it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then what I've done in this version is I've actually now started including some statistics. So did you know that one baby uses 3,000 disposable diapers each year and can go through 8,000 diapers before being potty trained? And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to now loop back to one of the central parts of my sales page, which is the environmental aspect. So then the next part says disposable diapers account for 2% of landfill waste in the United States. Very soon, we're going to show you how the thinner diaper can save X trees a year. So this over here has been added. So you continue reading the copy. This is known as this technique is so we want the user to I forget the term for it, but anyway, then there's a reveal button here.
The waterfall.
No, so in our, I don't know the exact term we use for it. I always forget this term, but it's designed to kind of get the reader to continue reading.
Slippery slide.
Yeah. No, slippery slide is, yes, it's a little different. It's seeds of curiosity. That's it. Seeds of curiosity. So we've added a term here. Now the user's like, okay, what is this damn thing? So they'll continue reading. But here you click on this reveal button and then show 7,000. This is always very intentional for me because I want the user to interact, because their interaction is a signal to me that they're absorbing the content, that they're finding it interesting. Buying anything for newborn is hard, blah, blah, blah. And so I've improved this a little bit over here as well. And then let's now go to version 3. Okay. So here you'll see that there's been improvements with each, but let's go to version 3. And actually I have some notes for version 3. So the first thing I've done is I've actually added an emoji over here. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or bad idea, but I just wanted to visually communicate that stopping idea, like stop sign. Over here, I've improved the flow. So I said that, we started on this journey knowing we may not make it, but what's happening to our planet is unacceptable. We had to try and try hard. So I wanted to improve the flow over here. This all remains the same. Notice the copy changes over here. So it says the stakes, the buying for a newborn, the stakes are high. So again, I'm trying to play on that. We want the very best. So it feels, I'm trying to reflect back on emotions. It feels safe to go with the most visible brand. So remember, I'm not saying go with the biggest brand or the best brand, most visible brand. And over here, I'm saying in a different way, the big guys know this, which is why they spend so much on advertising. But look at you, you are here, and this is different now. It says you do your own research. So, again, I'm trying to find different language that we can connect with. Now, over here, what I've done is I want to play again on that contrast idea, but this time I want the user to participate with me. So I say over here, for perspective, think back to the phone you had in 2012. So this is going to be hard coded by my developer, where it'll always go 10 years prior. So next year, I'll say 2013. But the reason I'm doing this is because almost all of us can easily relate to a phone we had 10 years ago, and we know how inferior it was compared to the phone we have right now. And I'm using this point to actually make a point about the fact that we have, I'm saying whatever's happened with mobile phones also happened with diapers. Now, I'm using the same image over here. Excuse me. Then over here, what I've done is, in the previous version, you'll notice we just listed the features. In this version, I've taken actually screen grabs from all the videos, and I'm actually from the video, and I'm actually including those screen grabs as visual reinforcements. Yep. Here, what I've done is we introduce an idea called chlorine-free fluff pulp. Now, what the hell does this mean? Now, skimmers will look at this and say, fine, but diggers will be like, what is this? I've converted this into a hyperlink, which we will now see as a pop-up, and we can give more context. And then this is the final part I've added. So one of the things that I'm trying to do as a copywriter is not only am I trying to find a competitor that is external, but I'm also trying to show a problem that was very hard to solve. And there's a principle in psychology called labor illusion. What basically it means is that consumers place more value on things that are hard to produce versus easy to produce. So how did I do this? So over here, we've talked about the quick absorb technology. Then I wanted to kind of say over here, the quick absorb channel, which is this thing over here, didn't come to us easily. Our engineering team spent 6 months exploring options. None of those options were good. There was a point when we felt there may be no way to design this, and then the clouds parted and this idea appeared. So I'm adding more dramatic effect. So anyway, I would do 7 more versions of this, but I wanted to just show you guys how this has evolved from version 1, version 2, version 3. So hopefully this was useful.
Yeah, I freaking love this, because again, it's behind the scene of what you do to come up with copy. I have one question. I'm realizing that it's actually might be a little bit difficult to answer it, because it might be something very rational in your brain. But what are the either questions or considerations you have made to say, okay, I'm gonna go from version 1 to version 2 to version 3?
So all I do, the way I come up with version 2, so the way and this is a good question actually. So the way I do it is when I write version 1, then I kind of copy paste version 1 over here, and I'm actually going through every single word and every single emotion. I'm kind of tweaking it and enhancing it. And in that process, essentially I'm doing deconstruction of version 1. So it's not conscious. I'm not saying that, okay, I'm going to now explore this angle in version 2. I'm actually rereading version 1, and I'm saying I'm putting on the frame of version 1 sucks. It's going to fail. It's going to lose money. How would I fix it?
Love it. This is very clever. It's almost like you do the, if you were like an artist and you were making like a statue,
yeah,
you would make like the super raw version of, Michelangelo or David of Donatello. And then every morning or every day for 10 straight days, you would go like, oh, let me make this a little bit more polished. because it's not curvy enough. It's still like, it's got like corners and stuff.
I think the most valuable part of copywriting, the first two drafts of the copy that I write are just garbage. And that's good. I need to get the shit out first. And then the editing process is so powerful. And people spend too much. My solution is not to spend too much time with editing. Spend no more than 30 minutes and then take a 5-hour break, come back and spend another 30 minutes. And you'll be just amazed at just fresh insights, you know?
And the way to think about it for people is like, if Rishi came up with 10 variations, right? Because your frame of mind is, I need to kill control, right? But instead of being 10 variations of different hypotheses, right, of different tests, it's 10 variations of the same concept. Correct. And the same hypothesis, right?
That's exactly right. So what I'm doing, that's why we're calling them versions. With the versions, we're actually not changing the point of view. We might be adding a few more supporting points of view, but we're kind of sticking with the same theme. With variations, we're actually shifting points of view. So maybe in future episodes, I'll even show iterations of variations. But yes, hopefully this was useful. But in the future episodes, I'm actually going to do this more and more. And I would love to get inputs and comments from you guys about what was clear, what was unclear, and questions, so that I'm creating content that is of use to you guys.
Yeah, and if you liked, this new format where Rishi goes through like his copy, just share the video with other people. Tell them to subscribe, and this could help other people, other founders, other CRO analysts, other CRO consultants to become better at their job.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your time, guys, and we will see you again soon with another DTC brand.
Ciao.
Thanks, Lorenzo. Ciao.
Ciao.